Hi everyone, welcome back to our day 5 of Linux Beginner to Pro series. Today we'll be learning user management in Linux. Before we start, we should understand what is a user. If you are thinking that we are the users, we are not. Stay tuned for knowing why. Users are the components of the operating system, which are responsible to make any changes on the system or any activities on the system. So we are the end users, not the users. Users are basically the inner component of an operating system. Let us go to the server and see what types of users we have and how do we manage them. On the Linux servers, there is a file called passwd, which is inside the etc folder. We have all the user information here which are there on this particular system. Now every single user has the information stored in the /etc passwd file, and we can also verify what all the users are there in the system, what is their password, what is their uid, what is their gid, what is the nodes created for this particular user, what is the home directory of this user, and default shell for this user. Okay, now there are total three types of user in Linux machines. One is root, which is the super user. Let us read this file with more. Now if you see the first user, which is root, this user is called as super user because root can do anything on the system. Whatever is possible to do on a Linux server, root can do that. So it can make the changes which will impact root user as well as all the users. It can install the packages, it can create the users, it can create the file systems, it can delete anything, it can modify anything. So root has the superpower. That is why it is called as super user. Now next type of users is service users or system users. Service users or system users are responsible for running or controlling the services. If you see shutdown or FTP or triple SD or systemd core dump, these are the users which are responsible for certain services. So they do not log into the system, they just stay inside the system itself and they control the services. So /usr/sbin/no login is the default shell for those users. That means they do not get the shell or they do not get the terminal. So they are not the users which can log into the system. Now we have the third type of user here, which is the standard user, or we can call them normal users. These users are responsible for the activities on the system. They can log into the system, they can create their files and store them and edit them later on based on the requirements. In the standard user also we have two types of users. One is a personal user, which is assigned to a particular user, or there can be a generic user which might be used for a team. For example, there is a DB team, they can just have one user called DB user which is actually controlling the DB services, and this user will be allocated to the whole DB team. So whole DB team can use that user ID and log into the system and make the changes. So this will be called as a generic user. This is practically, so it's not defined on the system level, but it is on the practical level. Now how will you identify which one is the super user, which one is the service user, and which one is standard user? By the UID you can understand. 0 UID is assigned to root user. From 1 to 999, these IDs are reserved for service users, and from 1000 to 60,000, this user ID is reserved for standard users. So you can create maximum 59,000 users on the Linux machine. I just told what all these fields in the passwd file. Let me remind you once again. This is the username. This explains the encrypted password. The third field is about UID, that is assigned to the username. The UID is used to identify the particular user by the system. Then fourth field is GID, which is its group ID. So this GID is basically this user's primary group's ID. The fifth field is comment about that user, and sixth field is the home directory. You remember home directory of a user. As soon as this user will log into the system, and if it will run pwd, it will be in its directory. Then the last one is /bin/bash, that is its default shell. Default shell, there are a lot of shells available in the market. However, in most of the Linux flavors, we have /bin/bash or bash as a default shell. There are other shells like corn shell, Born shell, and CSH. Now there is a latest shell which is called as fish. So there are a lot of shells available in this market, and whereas most of the Linux flavors has the bash as their default shell. So this user gets /bin/bash, that means it can log into the system and execute its commands. Now let us understand how to create a user. Before that, I want to ask you, why do we have multiple users? If we can have root user, and think about the Linux team where there are 5 to 6 people and they want to log into the system, make some changes, complete some requests. So if they could use root user itself for all the activities, what was the problem? Why are they supposed to get different usernames? Anyways, they are using the same system. There are three reasons in my understanding to have multiple users on the system. One, authentication. Authentication means you are verifying whether the right person is logging into the system. Second is authorization. Not everyone has the same authorization or same permission to perform the activities on the system. That is why you should have different users on the system. Third is accountability. What if someone makes mistake on the server, or if someone stopped any service or deleted some data or uninstalled some program? In that case, how will you track who did what? For that reason also, we should have multiple users on the system. Okay, let's understand how to create a user. Very simple command, useradd, can be used to create a user. If you simply use useradd and then give username like Tom, it will create a user. And now if you verify in the etc passwd file, you can see another user has been added, which is having password encrypted. 1001 is its UID and 1001 is its GID. Whenever you create a new user, and if you are not defining its primary group, it will create a primary group with the same name and same UID. So UID and GID will become same. It will create a new group automatically. If you see, for seeing the groups /etc/group, this file has all the group information. Here you can see the group Tom, whose GID is 1001, has been created, and it has got no comments. Its home directory has been set to /home/Tom, and its default shell is /bin/bash by default. Now if you want to change any of these parameters, it's all variable, you can change by yourself while creating the user, or even after creating the user you can modify all these parameters. Let's see how do we set up the parameters before or while creation itself. Run the command useradd space -u. This option is used to take the value of UID that you want to set. Remember in the second class when I was teaching about the commands and options, I told you that options can be also used to take values. Here we are using -u to take value of UID which we want to set. Let's say I want to give 4 times 1 as the UID, and if I want to set the primary group, let's say I want to make this new user also the member of Tom group only. I don't want to create a new group. Instead, I will make this user the member of Tom group. So you can use GID or you can also use group name. Both will work. Let me go with GID. Then if you want to change the comment about that user, you have to use -c, and in the double inverted comma you have to give the command. This user was created on the incident or SR number 09876 something. Okay, then close the double inverted comma. Now if you want to change the home directory also, let's say you want to set the home directory of this user as /mnt. Just giving example, you can create your own directory anywhere where it can have the permissions, and you can set it as its home directory. Now for default shell you have to use -s option, and let's say I want to give it so shell values are defined. It can be either /sbin/no login or /usr/sbin/no login, or it can be /bin/bash. You cannot think of it in your imagination. It is a fixed value. Let me give it /sbin/no login. So this user should not be able to log into my system. Now at the end you have to define the username. Let's say Jack. It says the home directory /mnt already exists. That means it did not create any new directory, but /mnt has been used. Okay, since we did not have the default home directory, it has not copied any files from the scale. So scale directory has all the information of default user profile. Whenever you create a new user, it gets all the pre-defined information from scale directory, which is there inside the etc directory. So now if you see cat/etc/passwd for the Jack user, you see whatever we have defined, it has taken everything. See the UID, it's 4 times 1, the GID 1001, the comment which we created, and the home directory has become /mnt, and the default shell is /sbin/no login. To set the password for a user, as soon as you create a user, you must set the password for it, so that that user can go and log into the system. So to create a password, you have to run the command passwd. This is a command, and the file which you are reading has the same name. Don't get confused with /etc/passwd. That's a file. Here this is the command to set up the password. Passwd jack, press enter. Now set up the password for this user. And if you want to take a duplicate session and try to log in with Jack, see what happens when the user has /sbin/no login as its default shell. I'm entering the password. So as soon as it got logged in, but the window got closed automatically because it do not have the permission to log into the system. Okay. If you want, we can change few parameters. Let's say I want to give /bin/bash to the Jack user. Now this time we'll be using usermod. This stands for user modify. Okay. Usermod is the command which is used to change the parameters of existing users. Useradd is the command to create a new user with the defined permissions, or it will be taking default parameters if you do not assign anything. Usermod -s/bin/bash. For the user Jack, we are changing shell to be /bin/bash so that Jack user could log into the system. Same options will work with usermod and useradd both. Press enter. Now cat/etc/passwd. See, the shell has been changed And if I try to take a duplicate session now, Jack has logged into the system and its present working directory, that is its home directory, is /mnt that we defined earlier. To log out from a user, type exit. Hope you have understood how do you create and how do you modify the parameters of a user. Let's see how to delete a user. Userdel is the command to delete a user. Userdel Jack user has been deleted. Cat /etc/passwd. Jack user has been deleted, but /mnt was its home directory that did not get deleted, or even if we did not get any warning that /mnt was not deleted. So when you delete a user with userdel space username, it only deletes the user, does not delete anything else. But if you want to delete a user with its primary group and the home directory, then you have to use -r option. You know the meaning of -r? It's recursive. Now if you see in the home directory, you don't see the Tom directory. So it has been deleted along with the Tom user. And if you also use etc group, you don't see the Tom group as well. So everything about that user has been cleared. We will be learning about group management today. As we all know, as soon as we create a new user, it will create automatically a group also, which will become its primary group. Now we will talk about how do we add a user to multiple groups. A user will be having only one primary group and there must be a primary group. So the primary group of a user cannot be more than one or less than one. But a user can be member of multiple groups. Those groups will be called its secondary groups. How do we create a group? Let us create few users. For example, useradd Tom, Jack, and Harry. I'm not assigning any parameters. Let it create by default. And if you see, id is the command to see the membership of a user, its UID and all the GUIDs. Right now, Tom's UID is 1001 and it is the member of only one group, that is its primary group 1001 called Tom. Similarly, Jack is also member of Jack group and Harry is also member of Harry group. Now if I want all these users to be member of American group also, if we see in the group file, we do not have any group called American. We will create a group with the command groupadd and now the group name American. Now we have the group American in the /etc/group. We have to modify the usermod hyphen. This time we have to use capital G. And then immediately you have to give the secondary group name which we want them to become member of and username Tom. Now if you run id Tom, he is the member of Tom group as well as American group. American group is the secondary group for the user Tom. If we want that Tom should be primary member of American group but secondary member of Tom group, we can change that. First we will have to change the primary group. Usermod hyphen small g American Tom. Now if you run id Tom, he is the member of only American group. Then usermod hyphen capital G, this time Tom, for the user Tom. Now if you run id Tom, American is its primary group and secondary group is 1001 Tom. For the rest of the user, it remains same unless you change it manually for those users also. If I want that Tom should be member of Jack group also. Now this time you say ID Tom is the member of American and Tom, and I want to make him a secondary member of Jack group. So the Jack secondary group for the user Tom. You see what happens here. When I run ID Tom this time, American was the primary group, it remains same, but the secondary group has been changed. Earlier it was Tom, now it is Jack. That means when we executed usermod -g, it has overwritten the secondary group. This mistake should not be done into the real production. What if a user is having multiple secondary group membership? It will overwrite everything and only the one which you have supplied this time will take place, and rest every group permission will be removed. To avoid this, you have to use small a before capital G and then the group name, the secondary group name which you want to add for the user. Now if you run ID Tom, okay, my bad, I had to use Tom here because I want to add extra group Tom. Since it was a member of American and Jack, Tom was overwritten. I need to add it to Tom group again. Now if you run ID Tom, it's member of American as well as Tom and Jack groups. If you want to remove a user from a particular group, use the command gpasswd -d, deleting the user. So you have to write the username first. Let's say I want to delete Jack group from this user, or I want to remove Tom from the Jack group. Understand this command gpasswd -d, delete. Deleting what? The user from the group Jack. So removing user Tom from group Jack. Now if you see ID Tom is no longer member of Jack group. So this is how we add a user to a group or we remove a user from a group. Hope this is clear. Moving on to the sudoers. Sudoers is a permission that allows the standard users to run commands like root. Do you remember when I used sudo -i to switch from a standard user to the root? It was only possible because that user was a sudoer. If I switch to a user, run the command su to switch to a particular user. If I switch to Tom and run sudo -i, first of all it will give me password error because I have not set the password. First let me set the password for this user. Exiting, going back to root, passwd Tom, setting up the password for Tom user, because you know if you use sudo command it will be asking that user's password. Now su Tom, switching to Tom, and let me try switching to root again. It is asking me the Tom user's password, but it says Tom is not in the sudoers file. So there is a file in /etc called sudoers where you need to add this user. You can add a user as well as you can add a group also. All the members of that group will automatically get the sudoers privilege. You must be careful while giving the sudoers privilege to any user or any group, because this will give the super user power to the standard users. Now how do we do it? Since the file is inside the etc called sudoers, we can edit the file with this command too. But if you make any mistake in the sudoers file, you will not be notified about the errors, about the mistakes which you have committed. So it is recommended to run vi sudo command. It will do the same thing, but if you make any mistake into the file, it will show you the error. So it's very safe to use instead of using vi/etc/sudo. Oh, I'm the standard user. I'll exit and run vi sudo from the root user. Now you have to find the root line which starts from root. Copy this line, type O, edit root to Tom. Now Tom has all the permissions to run, log into all terminals. It can run the commands from all the terminals and it can run all the commands. Now if you save it, it will be giving the sudo privilege to Tom user also. Now let me switch to Tom again and try whether Tom is able to switch to root using sudoers privilege. It is. We did not get any error. That means Tom is a sudoer now. If you want to remove that user from the sudoer, simply go to the vi sudo and delete the line or comment the line. Maybe in future you may need to add it again. To save that extra work, you just comment it. Okay. Now if you want to add a group, if you want to add a group to the sudoers file, do the same again, vi sudo. This time you have to copy this line. So this percentage actually shows the group. Now if you copy this line, press O, creates a new line, paste that line and change it to American. Now all the members of American group will automatically get sudo privilege. ID Tom. Tom is the member of American group. Is Jack is the member of American group? No. So let me set the password for Jack first. Switch to Jack and try to perform a sudo task like sudo -i. That's the safest thing which I can do. And I'm entering the password, but it says Jack is not in the sudoers file. Exiting from Jack, I will not add Jack as a user into the sudoers file, but I'll add him to the American group. Usermod small a capital G. Always do this while adding to the secondary group. This is the safest way. Even though if it is not a member of any secondary group, it is safe to do it. -a capital G and then the American group name and Jack user. Done. Now switch to Jack once again and try to switch to root once again. This time Jack should be able to switch to root. Even though we did not add the Jack user directly into the sudoers, but we added the group. And since Jack is the member of American group, he got the sudoers privilege. Today we'll be learning about password management. As you know, password management is one of the most important aspect of user management, and password is the most common used authentication method into the systems. There are multiple authentication methods available as of now, such as OTP, security questions, Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, and more. So we will be talking about password management today. Let us see how do we set the password, how do we lock and unlock the passwords, and the expiry policy and password quality. We'll start with the setting of the password. First of all, we will see how many users we have on our system whose password we'll be managing. We have Tom and Jack. Let me reset the password for user Jack. This is how we reset the password. But if you are a standard user, you cannot change other users' password. For that, either you will have to use sudo, or it's better to switch to root before you set up the password for any user. Switch to root. Let me change the password for user. Passwd jack. You will have to enter the password twice. Now it says password updated successfully. User's password has been updated. Now, if this user tries to log into the system, the new password, he is able to log in. But if he makes 5 or more than 5 wrong attempts, then based on /etc/spam.d/password auth file, in this file and this parameter auth required, here we can add a parameter that retry is equal to 5. If this parameter is added here, and if the jack user logs in multiple times with the wrong password, or if he tries to log in with the wrong password multiple times, as many times as you have defined here in this parameter, it will get locked. We can check if a user's password is locked by passwd-s, then the username. This is the username, and here is the status of the password. If it says P, that means the password is set and it is not locked. But if we lock it manually, and let us see what happens with the user Jack. Let me check the status again. Now it says L. L stands for lock. So this user's password has been locked. How to unlock this? You must understand, or you would have guessed what will be the option to unlock this user. It's passwd-u and Jack. Now the status shows again as P, that means the password is set. So this is how we can lock, unlock, or check the status whether the user's password is locked. If any user complains that he is not able to log in, you can use passwd-S and then the username to check the status of the password. Next is password expiry policy. We use ch command to check the password expiry. -l lists all the parameters of password expiry for a user. Let's say for Jack user. Last password change was 14th December, that is today. Password expires on, it says never for now. It actually depends on this parameter which says maximum number of days between password change is equal to 5 times 9. If we change this to 365 days or 30 days or 90 days, this parameter will automatically change. It will calculate that many days with this last password change and it will show the date here. Next parameter is password inactive. This password before it expires and even after the expiry can be used to reset the user's password. If this password goes inactive after few days of the expiry, after that you cannot use this password to reset the password once again. So if you set a number of days here in the password inactive, it will be calculating from the password expiry and it will show you the date here. Next, account expires. Account expiry is different from password expiry because if the account gets expired and password is still not expired, still the user will not be able to log into the system. Account expiry basically can be configured with a date. Next parameter is minimum number of days between password change. This restricts the user from changing the password again and again. If you set 1 day or 2 days, once the user changes his password, he will not be able to change within that many days gap. You know this maximum number of days between password change, which defines the expiry, and number of days of warning before password expires. This is 7 days for now. If you want, you can change it. Your user will start getting the password expiry warning before this many days. Let's see one by one how can we change all these things. First of all, we'll start with maximum number of days, ch hyphen capital M. Let me set it for 90 days for the Jack user and check what has changed. The maximum number of days between password change has changed to 90, and password expires has changed from never to March 14, 2026. That is exactly 90 days from today. Next, password inactive, ch hyphen capital I. Let's say I want to make the password inactive after 30 days of password expiry. Now the password expires on 13th April, which is 30 days from March 14th. Account expires if a user or employee have joined in a company and we want his password or account to be expired at a particular date, let's say 31st December 2025. You will have to write the command ch hyphen capital E, then the date, and then username. Now if you check, on December 30 itself, the password will expire. From December 31st, he will not be able to log into the system. How do you change the minimum number of days between password change? ch hyphen small m. Let's say I will set it for 2 days for Jack user, and we will see the impact. Minimum number of days between password change has been set to 2. Now let me try taking a duplicate session, trying to log in with Jack. Enter the password. Try changing the password. Any user can change his password by just typing passwd. He should not be giving username into the argument, else it will not be able to set someone else's password. Okay, for now you can see you must wait longer to change your password. This is because of the hyphen m is equal to 2. So the user has to wait for 2 days before he changes his password. Number of days of warning, ch hyphen capital W. Let's set it for 10 days. Now the user Jack. Okay, I need to use capital W. Now for user Jack, the password expiry warning is set to 10 days. So he'll start getting warning by 4th March 2026 itself. Now these changes which we have made, it is applicable only on Jack user. If we want to change it system wide or for all the new upcoming users, we will have to edit a file called login.deps into the /etc folder. If you see, the rest of the users are still having the same password policy. For a system where there are multiple users already and you are implementing this policy newly, you can set it for the new users, and for the existing users you will have to set all the parameters manually for each and every user. For new users, this policy will be applicable, which is there in the login.deps file. Search for pass and you can see these parameters. The first parameter says pass max days. All the new users, when you create them, it takes all the parameters from this file. So you make it 365 or let's say 90 days. Password minimum days as 1 day, so that user doesn't change his password within a day after one change. Password minimum length, let me make it 15, so he'll not be able to set a password which is less than 15 characters. And password warning days, let me make it 10, so he'll start getting the password expiry warning before 10 days. You should not be setting the password warning age for many more days because it is quite irritating for the users to get this warning again and again if he is a frequent uh, login or frequent user of the system. Now let us save it and try to create a new user called Harry and see what happens with his password policy. See, the password expires after 90 days because the maximum number of days has been already default set 90 days. Minimum number of days between password change has been set to 1. Number of days of warning before password expire has set to 10. So it will be applicable now for all the upcoming users which will create on the system. But on the existing users, the password policy will remain same. Moving on to the password quality. We have a file in our system in etc security directory called pwquality.conf. Here each parameter defines the complexity of the password, what should be the cases for the password, or what should be the conditions for the new password. It will be purposed to the users before they set their password. They have to follow this policy. First parameter is diff OK. This defines how many numbers or how many characters can be same from old password to the new password. Then minlen is equal to 8. This says that minimum length of the password has to be 8 characters. T credit, U credit, L credit and O credit. D stands for digit, U stands for uppercase, L for lowercase and O for other characters. If these characters are required in the password, you have to set them in minus. If, for example, if you want minimum 1 digit in the password, set D credit is equal to -1. If you want 2 digits minimum, set D credit is equal to -2. Similarly, for U credit, if you want 3 uppercases into the password, say U credit is equal to -3, and vice versa for L credit and O credit. And if you want it common, let's say you want 2 digits, 2 uppercase, 2 lowercase and 2 other characters into the password, you can set min class is equal to 2. No need to set all these individually, but you just set min class is equal to 2. It will be asking minimum number of required classes of character for the new password. From each class, it will be asking at least 2 characters if you set min class is equal to 2. Next parameter is max class repeat. This parameter even blocks the repetition of the same class. If you repeat the same type of characters, for example, lower cases consecutively or 2 upper cases, 2 digits, that also is not allowed if max class repeat is equal to 1. JAWS check checks if the password contains any word from the comments of your user profile. If you remember, while creating the user, we were using useradd -c and we were giving comments about the user. From that comments line also, any word should not be coming into the password if JAWS check is enabled. Dict check, this parameter checks if there is a dictionary word in your password such as butterfly, password at 123, America at 123. All these words will be blocked by the system. Next is user check is equal to 1. This parameter will check if the username is occurring inside the password. And next, user substring. This will check if the piece of your username is used in the password. Enforcing is equal to 1 means that this password policy is enforcing into the system. Dict path, you can give the dictionary path. Retry is equal to 3 means whenever you are trying to reset your password and if you are not following the policy, after 3 failed attempts, your prompt will be closed and you will have to try to re-log in again and change the password. Enforce for root, this parameter forces this policy on root user also. Ideally, root is free from the policies, so you can set any password for any user. But if you enforce this policy on the root also, this policy will be applicable for user root. This is all about the password quality file. Hope you are clear with the password management. If you liked our content, please like this video. Share your comments if you have any questions or suggestions, and subscribe our channel for more updates. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.